Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the voting behavior, right? And basically within this topic, these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series. Okay, like starting with the history of democracy and voting, thereafter the importance of voting, thereafter the historic vote, then the legal framework, then the election machinery, then the political landscape and the party participation, thereafter the election outcome, then the voting and approach, then the explanation, then the meaning of voting behavior, then the significance of voting behavior, then the determinants of voting behavior, then the role of media in elections and voting behavior. All right. So this is the topic that we have, you can say we have been revising. These are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion. Out of this, if we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the history of democracy and voting. We have done with the importance of voting. We have done with the historic vote. We have done with the legal framework, and we have done with the election machine. All right. And even we have done with the political landscape and the party participation. All right. So these are the topics that we have completed so far. And the topic that we haven't started or we are required to cover. So these are the election outcome, voting and approach, the explanation part, meaning of voting behavior, significance of voting behavior, determinants of voting behavior, role of media in elections and voting behavior. All right. So we can see that this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. All right. So basically in this lecture, we will continue from where we had left in the previous one. But before this, let us revise that what we had covered in the previous lecture. All right. So in the previous lecture, basically we had discovered that for the legal framework, and you can say for the drafted framework that is to be followed in the voting in India. All right. Basically, the parliament passed the two acts, Representations of People's Act. The first, it was passed in 1950, carried on in 1951. Okay. And basically, through these two acts, it's prescribed for the voter qualification, election machinery, and provisions for the other electoral processes. Okay. Thereafter, we had seen basically in January 1950, the Election Commission was established, and the first election commissioner was Sukumar Sen. Okay, he was the first election commissioner who was appointed on that time. Now, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Okay, and the question is to be: when did Election Commission transform into a multi-member body? When did Election Commission transform into a multi-member body? You are required to answer this question, and for this you have 30 seconds to think and answer. Okay, the question I had already given the answer in the previous lecture, so I'm going to ask you again so that I could ensure that you have revised. So your time starts now. Just think about it. We have just discussed this question in the previous lecture. So I'm expecting the right answer from all of you. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Last 10 seconds are remaining. Okay, the time's up. So basically, if we talk about the Election Commission transform into the multi-member body, so it was established in 1950s as the single member body, right? As the single member body, and basically from 1950 till 1989 it was working as a single member body. In 1989 it was transferred into the multi-member body with how many election commissioners? Three election commissioners. Okay. So that was the thing. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Thereafter, we had discussed that basically during the 1951 elections, the major problem in front of us was the largely illiterate electorate. Okay. So because of this, we had done one thing, that was the literacy rate of that time. Okay. Like we had introduced the colored ballot boxes for each candidates. Then we had discussed that this idea got failed because it was not possible to grant it the unique colored ballot boxes for every candidate. That's why we provided them the separate ballot boxes containing the candidate's election symbol. Okay. So the voter could identify the symbol even if he is not eligible for reading and writing. All right. And basically we were discussed that the ballot papers were pink and of the size of 1 rupee currency so that the people could be familiar with it. All right. That was including the Election Commission of India's name along with the serial number and two letters that were indicating the state, like HY for the Hyderabad state, BR for Bihar, and AS for Assam. All right. Thereafter, while we were discussing the political landscape and the party participation. Okay. So 53 political parties participated in the election and the 14 were being the national parties, including the Indian National Congress, Communist Party of India, Socialist Party, Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party, Akhil Bharatiya Hindu Mahasabha, and others. Okay. So these were the things that we had discussed in the previous lecture. Now let's move with this lecture. Okay. So what was the outcome of that election? Okay. What was the outcome of that election that we had just seen? It means the election of 1951. So basically, in that election, the Indian National Congress that was leading by the Jawaharlal Nehru, he was also the first Prime Minister of India. All right. Basically, that party emerged as the dominant political force. Okay. So basically, if we talk about the background, so remember, it is general curiosity for you. All right. Indian National Congress was basically established in 1885 by A.O. Hume and V.C. Banerjee. Okay. And the location was Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College. Okay. Bombay. There, the Congress was basically established. And after this, the Congress became a main political platform through which the Britishers convey their talks. All right. Like we can say, basically, the idea behind establishing the Congress was that the Britishers needed the political party and you can say the political interface so that they could talk with the political leaders who were leading the Indian crowd. Okay. So in view of this, in 1885, Indian National Congress, INC in short, was established at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College. Okay. And then the party became the main political platform through which the Britishers usually convey their talks. And Jawaharlal Nehru was the leader, and this political party emerged as the dominant political force. And why? Because in the election, this political party wins 318 seats out of 489 seats of the Lok Sabha. So here we have got the data that basically in the 1951 elections, the Lok Sabha did not have the seats as it has today. Okay. On that time, the seats is only 489, but we know today the seat is nearly about 550 and all. Okay. So basically they secured 318 out of 489, which is the majority, and solidifying the position as the ruling party. It means that the Indian National Congress got the chance to build the first independent government of India. All right. And thereafter, If we talk about the second runner and the third runner, second runner was the Communist Party of India, in short known as the CPI, and third runner was the Socialist Party. Okay. After this, there were other political parties. So if we just write it down, so we can say that there are three political parties at the top three positions. First was Indian National Congress. Okay. Thereafter, Communist Party of India. Thereafter, the Socialist Party. Okay. And because the majority was with the Indian National Congress, so that the Indian National Congress got a chance to form the ruling party. Got it? So that was the scenario. All right. Now let's move forward. So basically, so far we had just built the background. So far, basically, we have just built the background. Like how did the democracy was first started from 508 BC from the Greeks. All right. How they introduced the earliest form of democracy. Okay. And then we had discussed that the concept which they had brought, that was the negative voting. All right. So here I'm going to ask you the one simple question again. Like what is the meaning of negative voting and what is the meaning of positive voting? Okay. You are just required to recall it. Okay. For this, again, I will provide you 30 seconds. All right. So your time will start now. Just think about it. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Last 10 seconds. Already the time's up. So basically, if we talk about it, the positive voting is the voting in which the voters vote so that they could choose the candidate to the position. All right. That is the positive voting. Negative voting is the voting in which the voters casting their votes so that they could eliminate the candidate from the position. All right. So these are two things. Thereafter, I'm going to ask you what is the meaning of first past the post system, proportional voting, and the approval voting. This is the second question that I'm going to ask you. First is first past the post system. Second is proportional voting. Third is approval voting. For this, again, you will have 30 seconds and your time starts now. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20s are remaining. Last 10 seconds are remaining. Okay, the time's up. So basically, if we talk about the first past the post system, so the first past the post system works on the majority basis. Like suppose if there are 5 candidates A, B, C, D, and E. All right. So whichever candidate will get the highest number of votes, he will be elected to the position. Okay. That is the first past the post system. Second is the proportional voting. Proportional voting is the voting in which if there are A, B, C, D, E, okay, 5 states. Each of the state will get the seats to the election, or you can say each of the party will get the seats in the particular house as per the population they have. And you can say as per the ratio of the population residing in that particular area. All right. Third is the approval voting. Approval voting is same kind of majority voting. The only difference is that when we talk about the first past the post system, on this system only one voter could appoint the one candidate. Okay, and you can say only one candidate could be given a vote by one voter. Okay, so suppose if you are the voter and you have the five option like A, B, C, D, E, then you could only choose one option out of them. Either you could vote A, B, C, D, or E. Okay. Thereafter, if we talk about the approval voting is the voting in which the system is majority basis, but the voter is allowed to give the vote more than one candidate. All right. Suppose if there are five candidates in front of you and you are the voter basically, like A, B, C, D, E. Five candidates are there. Okay. Then you are required to give your vote like A. If you seems A is fit, then if you see the C is also fit, you can give him the vote. If you find that E is also fit, you can give your vote to E. Okay. Similarly, the other voters will do the same. And the candidate who will score most of the votes, he would be appointed to the position. Okay. So that is the first past the post system, the proportional voting and the approval voting. Okay. So now, basically, we are going to talk about voting and approach. Like, so far, we have been mentally prepared why the voting is important in the democracy and how the democracy is totally affected by the voting powers. Now we are going to see like when we talk about the voting, then how the people prefers the candidate, how they prefers the particular political party to be appointed to position, how they prepare themselves to vote or not to vote. It means that basically if we talk about the voter who is generally the human, how their preferences, how their mentality decided on the basis of the factors. Okay, and you can say on the basis of the factors that affects the voter. All right. So if we talk about it, then we can say basically voting is a diverse activity with people having the different reason for voting or not voting. All right. So here we have found the certain words: diverse voting, reasons for voting and not voting. So diverse activity. So what is the implication of diverse activity? Okay. So you can take the example by your own. Suppose you belong to some group of friends. This is quite obvious that you will have the friends in your life. Okay. You belong to some group of friends. All right. And suppose you are five friends. Okay. A, B, C, D, E. You are the five friends. Okay. So if you check it with in your friend group also, all right, then you will find if you prefers one political party, for example, we will take the five political party like the Bharatiya Janata Party, like the Congress, like the Aam Aadmi Party, all right, like the Samajwadi Party, all right, and like the you can say any local party, all right, from the India, all right. So basically, if there are five parties, then you will find out that some of your friends will prefer Bharatiya Janata Party, some of them will prefer Congress, some of them will prefer Aam Aadmi Party, some of them will prefer Samajwadi Party, and some of them will prefer any local party. So basically what you are seeing here, that you are seeing even in your group, you are the friends, you have the same mentality, you have the same companionship, but when it's come to the choosing the leadership and all, basically all of you having the different mindsets. All right. No one of you, and you can say it is not necessary that every one of you will prefer only one party. If you can say, like, if you prefer the Bharatiya Janata Party, then you could not expect that everyone of your friend circle will also prefer the same party. All right. And then you will wonder that if you are friends with them, if you guys having the common trait in your personality, if you guys having the common companionship, and you can say up to some extent your mentality will also meet with each other. If all the things are similar, then why you not choosing the same political party as you choosing? Okay. Why? Because everyone having the different thoughts, everyone having the different views, different opinions when it's come to choosing the leadership. If we not go with the friends, if we take the minor example of it, so even in your family, you will find out that everyone will have a different thought, everyone will have a different view or opinion regarding some political party. Some of your family members will prefer the Bharatiya Janata Party, some of them Congress, some of them Aam Aadmi Party, some of them Samajwadi Party, some of them any regional party. And maybe some will be there who will not prefer any party. Okay. He will say the politics is a dirty game and we should not talk about politics and all. That is, you can say in the general way, a half truth, but that is not implicable in India in the normal way. Why? Because if you're living in the country, okay, it's become your responsibility that you should align yourself with some political leadership because that particular leadership will run your country for a certain time period. All right. And as you are the citizen, so you will be affected automatically. So, in order to choose the right leadership, you should have the participation in the political discussion that is necessary. All right. So, basically, that is the first thing that we have discussed, that why the voting is the diverse activity. All right. Because as the basis of your opinion, views, and other things, you will vote for some political party. Thereafter, different reasons for voting and non-voting. This could be, you can say, aligned with the thing that I have said in the end. Okay. Like some of the family members will be so much active. Some of your friends, some of your locality people will so active in the politics, in the political decision, while some of them even not like to talk about the politics. Okay. So basically, what are the reasons why the people usually go for vote? Because they want the participation in choosing the leadership. Some of people do not go for vote. It means the case of not voting. They do not want to participate in the political sphere so that they could choose their leadership. All right. So there could be a different reason for this. So if we talk about the finding answers of them, so the ECI or the Election Commission of India basically adopted the scientific approach. So that they could study the voting behavior. Okay. Like they could study the behavior of the voters, whether they are registered or unregistered, but they are eligible. Remember what I'm saying. If the voter is registered, it means that he is willingly going for the voting and he is registered also. If the person is non-voter, it means the person is not pulling the votes, but as per the criteria, he is eligible. Okay. So both of them, it means the voter and non-voter, but who is eligible, they both studied under the voting behavior. Okay. Like Election Commission of India, because it is the organization that was established with the specific purpose of conducting the fair and free elections. And even if we talk about the fields in which the Election Commission conducts the elections, that fields are not normal fields. These are the prestigious fields, like the office of President of India. However, there is no general election to the President of India. It means that there is no direct elections. Me and you could not participate in them. Thereafter, the Vice President of India. Even this is not the case of direct elections, so normal citizen could not participate. But however, this is the one of the prestigious political office of the country. Thereafter, the Lok Sabha elections. Yes, here we could vote because the general election and the direct election provisions are there. Thereafter, the state legislative assemblies. Okay. So basically, technically, these two last areas, like the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly, these two areas are the areas where the provision is for the general elections or direct elections. All right. So here you can say, because the election commission is charged to conduct the general elections or the direct elections in the open, free and fair manner. Okay. That's why it is the responsibility of the election commission that they should understand like what are the bases through which the people you can say influences for giving the vote to some political party or not. All right. And why the people generally not find themselves aligned with the task of choosing the leadership. Okay. So basically, if we take the instance of it, so a survey was conducted in Jharkhand. Jharkhand is the state of India. Okay. A few elections ago to understand the matter that why some people did not vote. Like as I have told you, some of the people generally find themselves more aligned for the voting purposes. All right. And more active in the political discussions. While some people are do not want to vote, and you can say even do not want to connect themselves with the political sphere. So what are the reasons? Okay. So why some people did not want to understand this thing? Basically, the Election Commission of India conducted the survey in the Jharkhand. All right. And as per the survey, basically they provided for the nota, none of the above system. Okay. And this underscores the importance of each vote, and basically it allows the voters to reject all the candidates if they wish. Okay. For example, suppose you are the voter. All right. And there are 5 candidates, A, B, C, D, and E. They were contesting an election. All right. So if you having the preference to any of them, like you want to give your vote to A, B, C, D, or E, then what will happen? You will cast your vote, right? You will give the vote to the candidate you like. But suppose if next case we will take, okay, in the first case you will go for the voting, that is the normal case. But here we are talking about the case in which the people do not want to vote. Okay, people do not want to vote. So basically, in this case, when the election commission conducted a survey, they found that there is no option for eliminating the candidates. Like you can say, suppose if you are the voter, there are the 5 candidates contesting the election. Okay, A, B, C, D, and E. All right. Out of them, there is no candidate that you prefer. You do not want to give your vote to A, B, C, D, or E. You do not want to choose any of them. Then why should you force to choose any of them? Okay. So if you do not like any of them, you will not go for voting. All right. And that would become a case of this one. Some people did not want to vote. Okay. So basically to counter this situation, okay, to counter the situation, the option of nota was given in the machines and the voting centers. Nota stands for not of the above. That is a full form. You should be aware about it. Okay. So if you do not want to give your vote to any of them, then if you are at the voting counter, you could press the nota button. Nota button means none of the above. Then what will happen? That you were not forced to select any of the candidate, but your vote would be counted. Your vote would not given to any of them, but your vote would be counted. It means that it would be helpful for the election commission to counting the how many votes were put. And even the citizens, okay, and the voter who did not get the candidate of his choice in the conquesting list, even he could vote because he could use the option of nota, like he could deny to choose any of the other person. Okay, so this is the system. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished till here. In the next lecture, we will continue from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture and be ready for the other lecture. This note, let's end this lecture and thank you.